I'm extending my appreciation to Prof. Madya, Dr. Azeem, and Dr. Dayang for agreeing to be the evaluators of Rajih's proposal defense today. Well, I should be looking at that. Just as a backup, just in case. So today, the Rajih is supposed to present yesterday, but because of scheduling complications, so we have it on today instead. So let me see. Let me go in as well, just to make sure that we have a backup. Rajih, we are using the PC or we're using your laptop?
Laptop.
Your laptop, okay. Sudah rekam sudah.
Sudah.
Okay. All right. So who do we have? Okay, we have Chang is here as well. Jay, right. Okusama, all right. Welcome here. We have a number of people. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Am I in? I'm in. Okay. I'm in with the mic. All right. Good. So today's presentation is somewhat special, I guess, to describe it, because Rajih will be presenting his proposal, his master's proposal that is possibly upgradable to a PhD proposal. So, Rajih, you are ready? Ready with it? Okay. So the floor is yours now.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Prof. Reevany. I also welcome to Dr. Dayang and also Prof. Azeem. Thank you very much for becoming evaluator of my research proposal. Let me change my camera. Yeah.
See, Rajih is the technology expert here, so you can change the different cameras and all that. Junior assistant.
Yeah.
A DJ. This is the what the Gen Z generation.
Okay. Thank you very much, my dear friends, for attending my presentation. My research proposal is about Pesantrenization of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers, paradigms of thought and practices of a Quranic Study Group in Penang. Let me start with a quote by Prophet Mohammad, peace be upon him. Seek knowledge from cradle to the grave. This quote has inspired me in every work, including this research. Since my research will be about Pesantrenization of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers, so the explanation of the background, I will approach the explanation of the background for migrant workers and pesantren. Let me start.
You got to move. It's moving here, but it's not moving from your.
I'm sorry. What?
Because we are looking at your screen now.
Oh.
Zoom is looking at your screen. So you're moving here, but you're not moving your screen, right?
Okay.
So,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm having the viewer's view. There. Okay.
Is it working?
It's working.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let me start with the explanation of migrant workers. Human beings have been migrating from since then until now, including in Nusantara. Usually people in Nusantara, especially in Malaysia and Indonesia, will say merantau for migrating. They move from one island to another, from one country to another, one region to another. There are five factors of migration. First, economy, and the second is politics, and the third is demography, the fourth is social, and the last environmental. However, the main factors of migration, the main factors of migration that encourage migration between Indonesia and Malaysia are economic factors and demographic factors. In addition, Malaysia become the top Indonesian destination from working abroad. I will show you the data after a few minutes. Furthermore, placing Indonesian workers to Malaysia is part of G2G agreement, government agreement between Indonesia and Malaysia authority. Here is the data from BP2MI, the Authority of Indonesian Migrant Workers Protection. We can see that Malaysia become the top destination for Indonesian to go abroad for working, to go overseas for working. Malaysia, and second Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and etc. Even though the numbers are decreasing year by year. Yeah. Last year, the number was 5,000 and more, 5,750.
So COVID year, right?
Yeah, maybe because COVID. Yeah, but the number is decreasing. It is interesting. The number is decreasing. However, Malaysia still become the top destination for Indonesian to go abroad for working. Aside of working, migrant workers have many activities. They are involved themselves in NGO or other organizations like Migrant Workers Union. They also involve themselves in religious activities like religious lectures, especially for Indonesian Muslim migrant workers. They also involve themselves in charities. Interestingly, a group of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers, I see that there is a group of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers in Penang are interested to memorize Quran verses. To memorize Quran together with other Indonesian Muslim migrant workers, they join RQV Permai Penang. RQV Permai Penang is a Quranic Study Group under the management of Permai Penang. You know, Permai Penang is an Indonesian NGO in Penang. RQV Permai Penang has 140 members. The activities are, memorizing class. It is organized twice in a week, every Wednesday and Friday. Also, sometimes they do outdoor activities like walking around together, they cook together, and etc. Let's talk about migrant workers discourse. The discourse of migrant workers are dominated by the topic of social problems related to migrant workers, like discrimination, human trafficking, exploitation. Also, the topic about reason why they go abroad for working, and also the topic about legal and illegal migrant workers. Another topic that cannot be put aside is about migrant workers' involvement in NGO and migrant workers' union. Yeah, this study by Marshall Ford in 2004. This study talking about the involvement of migrant workers, especially Indonesian migrant workers in NGO and migrant workers union. However, the study of migrant workers focusing on migrant workers' involvement in a faith-based study group, not only NGO, but faith-based study group are lacking. Yeah, there is lacking in the topic of migrant workers' involvement in a faith-based study group. Yeah, let's talk about pesantren. Pesantren is one of Islamic educational institution in Indonesia. Perhaps there are some in Malaysia, aside from madrasah and Islamic school. Pesantren has been existed since 15th century, and the very first pesantren was established by Wali Songo, Sunan Ampel. People in Indonesia and Malaysia sometimes say pesantren, call pesantren by pondok or pondok pesantren. According to Zaman Syariah, there are 5 elements of pesantren. Yeah, actually, those elements are referred to the traditional form of pesantren. But however, I can use this to help my study, my research, this research. Those elements are dormitories, mosque, masjid, kiai as a headmaster. Kiai is the Nusantara term. He is the headmaster, the leader of pesantren, and santri or students of pesantren, and the last is teaching classical books. There are more than 26,000 pesantren in Indonesia, spread in all provinces in Indonesia. This data is according to Ministry of Religious Affairs in Indonesia. There are actually there are a lot of definition of pesantren, but generally we can say that pesantren is an Islamic educational institution where santri or students of pesantren lives. They study about both religious and focusing on Islamic knowledge, and also social and natural sciences, balancing both of them. Sometimes they also learn how to be a leader, how to manage time and their life. There is kiai inside pesantren as a leader and main educator. Usually, inside pesantren there is a mosque, masjid, because mosque is the center of activities inside pesantren. Let's talk about the study of pesantren. The studies of pesantren are dominated by the discourse of the history of pesantren, also the educational process inside pesantren, like internalization of certain values like leadership, management, time management, self-management, Islamic values, most of them Islamic values internalization. Another interesting study about pesantren is about pesantren's tradition, studied by Zaman Syariah in 1982. He studied about the culture inside pesantren and the role of kiai inside pesantren. He also stated that there is dichotomy between traditional and pesantren. The dichotomy of traditional and modern pesantren also studied by Hamid Fahmi Zakashi in 2015. It is interesting to talk about traditional and modern pesantren, and this is related to my research. The study about traditional dichotomy of traditional and modern pesantren is only limited in the formal form, in the formal institutionalization of pesantren. The study about such dichotomy is about the difference between system and the curriculum. Modern pesantren would use modern system like organized, a structured organization, and the curriculum is balancing between Islamic knowledge and social natural knowledge. Conversely, traditional pesantren only focusing on studying classical books, Islamic classical books written by classic Islamic scholars. Also, the management of traditional pesantren is focused on depending on kiai's decision and his family. The study of dichotomy of traditional and modern pesantren is only limited to the formal institution of pesantren, like I said before, and the study about more fluid pesantren hasn't been studied yet. More fluid pesantren, like there's not necessarily a masjid inside the pesantren. However, the process of education is like pesantren. Yeah, there's lacking in that in the study about a pesantren that more fluid, and more fluid pesantren in a foreign is outside Indonesia, foreign urban environment from subjective reality from subjective reality. Yeah, there is lacking in this topic in these studies. So this research will address to the issue of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers' involvement in a faith-based study group and how a community, an Indonesian migrant workers community, become pesantrenized from subjective reality. Yeah, because I see the emerging phenomenon is a situation like a pesantren in RQV Penang, a faith-based organization that I mentioned before. I see that in RQV Penang, I see a situation like pesantren inside RQV Penang. It's like a traditional pesantren educational model in modern lifestyle. Also, it is like mini pesantren phenomenon. Therefore, it is interesting. It is interesting, and that's all the emerging phenomena. After talking about migrant workers, so the gap is Indonesian migrant workers' involvement in a faith-based study group, and the gap in pesantren is the possible new form of pesantren in a foreign urban environment. Yeah, when we combine this combination is, correspond to the issues that I will address. Indonesian migrant workers' involvement in a Quranic study group and how a community becomes pesantrenized. So that I can say this is pesantrenization, and it is interesting to be studied. Yeah. From subjective reality. Therefore, I conduct this research by phenomenological method. This is a phenomenological research. Those are my research questions. The first research question is, what are the paradigms of thoughts of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers, about their involvement before and after joining, after they participate to RQV Penang, in relation to the teachings, dormitories, kiai, students, and mosques, also the organization or the system, and also the culture. The second research question is, what are the paradigms of practices or experiences of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers about their involvement? Yeah, the practices or experiences about their involvement before and after joining RQV Penang. Yeah. Like the first research question, it is in relation to the teachings, dormitories, kiai, students, and mosques, the organization, also the culture. And the last research question is, what meanings do they attach? The meanings they attach to their thoughts and practices about their involvement before and after joining RQV. Research objectives. First is to understand the paradigm of thoughts of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers about their involvement before and after participating to RQV Penang. And the second is to understand the paradigms of experiences of Indonesian Muslim migrant workers about their involvement before and after participating to RQV Penang. And the last is to examine the meanings they attach about their paradigms of thoughts and their paradigms of experiences about their involvement before and after participating to RQV Penang. To conduct this research, we'll use abductive research strategy because abductive research strategy will support me as a researcher to conduct phenomenological research. Abductive research strategy will allow me to investigate actor social work in order to discover their conceptualization of their social work related to their involvement in RQV Penang. In this case is not only memorizing but being inside that community, inside RQV Penang. Not only memorizing Quran, but also other activities, organizing, etc. this research strategy also allow me to pay attention to the language of conversation, to their language of conversation, so that I can find their motives and reasons why they involve themselves in RQV from Penang, and how I will let them give their opinion and their conceptualization without interfering their thoughts. And after that, I categorize their thoughts after acquiring the data. For the sampling method, I will use purposive sampling. The criteria first, Indonesian Muslim migrant workers in Penang, and the second, active members of RQV from Penang. I target between 25 to 35 people, and I mean the active member is a member of RQV from Penang who attend the class in the last 3 months, who always attend the class in the last 3 months. For the data collection method, I prioritize in-depth interview, because in-depth interview will support me to get more, deeper data about their conceptualization of their involvement in RQV from Penang. And in order to conduct in-depth interview, I will go to their class. I will join memorizing session, also scheduling time with them, make arrangement with them, and conducting interview with them everywhere based on their convenience. Also, I will conduct focus group discussion as a supporting method for collecting data. Because by focus group discussion, I can understand more about how they conceptualize, because in a group there will be perhaps 5% or 5 to 10%. They will debate about their conceptualization in there, and I will get more data from their conceptualization inside that group. For a backup plan, I will conduct FGD by online by Zoom meeting or WhatsApp video calls, in case if there is MCO. If there's not MCO, I can conduct online. I can conduct focus group discussion face to face with them. In conducting the interview, I will use some sensitizing concepts in order to get the data to help me get their conceptualization. Also help them to conceptualize their thoughts. The concepts are pesantren or pondok pesantren. The 5 elements of pesantren, like dormitories, kiai, santri, mosque, and classical book teachings. Especially in teachings, I will focus on the teachings and the method of teachings, like sorogan and bandongan. And this is the method of traditional pesantren, educational method of traditional pesantren. And a santri, maybe I will use the concept santri mukim, santri who stay inside pesantren, and santri kalong, santri who are attend to pesantren is only for attending the class, and they stay in their house. Also the term about traditional pesantren and modern pesantren. This research, for me, this research is PhD worthy, because this research will contribute to the theory building on 3 dimensions or aspects. First, the phenomenon of Muslim migrant workers' involvement in a faith-based community, and the second, possible emergence of neo pesantren-like community in urban environment overseas, outside Indonesia. And the last, this research will contribute to the theory building on Indonesian Muslim migrant workers on conception on spirituality. It is related to their conceptualization of their involvement in RQV Penang, their activities, etc. That's all. Thank you very much.
All right. Future belongs to those. Okay, Max. All right.
Welcome back.
Actually went to a pesantren. Next we want to be cultivate pesantren in New York.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rajih. Thank you for keeping to the time allocated to you. So now it's 10:30. I'll open the discussion to our evaluators, Associate Professor Dr. Azeem, and then followed by Dr. Dayang, and then we open the discussion to the floor as well. Yeah. So Azeem first.
Okay. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate Rajih for successfully presenting his proposal.
Thank you very much.
I have to admit that this is among the few good proposal presentation sessions that I have listened to and attended. I think we have a very clear topic in mind. Having said that, I think you need to somehow strengthen your problem statement.
Right.
This problem statement is a bit loose because whenever you attempt to problematize research, it has to be contextualized within the academic discourse, within the discourse on a particular topic. And what is actually the problem? Where is the gap? How do you fill in that gap? And why is the gap on the topic a problem in your research area? That is, strengthening the research problem is very important because the research problem or the problem statement will guide you, in embarking on your study.
Right.
And you need to somehow understand that coming up with a problem statement is, I would say, is the biggest hurdle in undertaking a research at any level. Even when you are an academic, coming up with a problem statement is a challenge. It is the biggest challenge in doing research. So I think that that will take some time for you to fully develop a good problem statement, because a problem statement will come out from an extensive literature review. Yeah. So most graduate students fail to realize the importance of literature review. It's not your data, because sometimes graduate students will be lost in their quest to look for data. Data is not a problem. You can always look for data. Data is everywhere. But the most important component of doing a research is to look at the literature. And that will take time, and that is why you are given 4 years to do your PhD. Because you probably take a year to go through the relevant literature and understanding the literature. Once you have understand the literature, then coming up with a problem statement will be a lot easier. So you need to understand the literature, and then you need to strengthen your problem statement. Apart from that, I think this is, as I said, among the few research proposal sessions that I have attended, whereby the candidate is really clear about what he or she intends to do, and I personally feel that this can be upgraded to a PhD. Of course, there are some teething problems that you need to strengthen, particularly your research objective. I think to me this is an exploratory research. So for an exploratory research, I think understanding might not be the key word insofar as your research objective is concerned. It might be you actually, when you use what, when your research questions begin with what, it is purely descriptive.
Yeah.
It's exploratory and descriptive. Understanding has to do with why questions. And this is not really an explanatory research. This is, I think, an exploratory research. And I think since this is an exploratory research, of course, your research strategy is, I think your research strategy is the right choice. Your right choice, your choice of research strategy is correct. It has to be abductive, it has to be phenomenological, and you know, when you use this type of research strategy, it is almost always exploratory. Understanding, I think, you know, when you say you want to understand something, there has to be a lot of work done on the topic already. Then you can understand, and then you can explain. So if there are very few works done on your topic, then it has to be exploratory and theory building. You know, because a theory is supposed to allow us to understand the reality. I mean, it is a very crude way of understanding reality, but you know, it helps us to understand reality nonetheless. But you know, this phenomena is yet to be fully researched or fully understood. So you have to explore it first, and then you know, you can build theory or concepts from your exploratory study. So that is my comments, and I will fully support your request to be upgraded to a PhD. I think it is worthy of a PhD research. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Azeem. Those are very important insights about the problem statement and the research objectives. I think the idea of spending time on literature review and searching for that vacuum. So a lot of people get lost in there, but sometimes people move on too fast to collect data without thinking about the vacuum. Can we get Dr. Dayang's input now? Dr. Dayang, are you there?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm here. Okay, so first of all, congratulations, Rajih. I'm agree with Dr. Azeem, because you have comprehensive, I can say complete, and you know that what are you going to do for next. And then, but I have a few questions here. Can you go to your objective research objective slides? Okay, number 1 and 2, Dr. Azeem has mentioned it, to understand, and then the third objectives, which you mentioned here, to examine the meanings. I'm not sure if to examine is the right words to use here, maybe to study or to, I'm not sure, but to examine, just like my background is economics, so for me to examine is just like you playing with numbers, or you calculating, or you do an analysis. So I'm not sure this to examine is the correct words to do with this third objective. Okay. Then number 2, you have mentioned few in your slides about foreign urban environment. I understand about foreign because migrant workers come to Malaysia, and then what do you mean by this urban environment in Penang actually?
Urban environment is, you know, environment with people who live in modern lifestyle, Doctor. Yeah, not in rural environment. It's like, yeah, people who live in the city and with modern lifestyle. They live with daily activities. Every morning they go work and they go back. They work from 9 to 5 perhaps, and they go back to their home after they're working. And those are their daily activities.
Okay, so maybe I would suggest that you can have one or an explanation for this foreign urban environment compared to the one that have been practices in Indonesia. Okay.
Okay, Doctor.
My third question, as in RQV per my Penang, there are 140 members, is it?
Yes, Doctor.
And all the members are the migrant workers or their families involved?
All of them are migrant workers, Indonesian migrant workers.
Migrant workers.
Yeah.
It's not involved
Like
their
that.
families as well?
I'm sorry?
Is it involved their family or no?
Oh no, only themselves, not
Only
not
themselves.
involving their families.
Okay. Because the age range is from 25 to 35, right?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, not the age. I mean, my target is my target.
25 to 35 group
Yeah,
of members. Okay, sorry. Sorry
Yeah.
for that.
Not the age.
Okay. And then how you categorizing the thoughts? I'm not sure which slide, but you have mentioned that you will categorizing the thoughts. How do you will categorize them?
Yeah, after acquiring their thoughts about their involvement in RQV Permai Penang, I am sure that they will have more conceptualization about their involvement. You know, like they will mention new concept about involving themselves in a faith-based study group, and I will categorize that. I will categorize their thoughts because there will be many conceptualization from that. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, never mind then. Okay. Where did I write it? And my last question. Let's hold on. Yep.
I'm sorry.
Okay, just like you mentioned, my last question. Okay, the studies of pesantren are lacking in the topic of a pesantren that more fluid in a foreign urban. More fluid, just you mentioned that it's not like traditional pesantren as in Indonesian. So how this will be measured through your study? I think I'm not sure. Yeah, this one, that more fluid. You mentioned during your presentation, you mentioned that more fluid, meaning that one of the character is there's no mosque in the modern pesantren. So what are the category or what are the characteristics shows this? What do you mean by this more fluid actually?
Yeah, more fluid. I say more fluid here is a pesantren that not necessarily inside them. I mean, the elements of pesantren are not necessary inside the pesantren. Therefore, I said this is more fluid because RQV Permai Penang maybe the educational process is like pesantren. However, inside RQV Permai Penang, we cannot find any mosque inside RQV Permai Penang. Also, maybe kiai and teaching Islamic classical books. However, the process of education is like pesantren. Therefore, I said this is more fluid. This kind of pesantren is more fluid, not well institutionalized or like a formal institution like traditional and modern pesantren. And the last study of pesantren about the institutionalization of pesantren is about traditional and modern pesantren. Therefore, for me, it is a new thing to study and worth to study about a new form of pesantren that more fluid. That's the point.
Okay, because I have looked at the Instagram page because they have do a lot activities like solat tahajud, then isyak subuh berjamaah, then they have this knowledge debate, sports games, then they have this ngopi as well.
Yes.
Okay, role perkara, is it?
Right, that's right.
Yeah, it's quite.
Yeah, ngopi.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Coffee, drinking coffee together. Right.
Ngobrol perkara iman.
Yeah, ngobrol perkara iman.
Ngobrol
Okay,
perkara
recording.
iman. Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's just like pondok in Malaysia as well. So it just differ in terms of the environment, but I think the syllabus or what they have in the pesantren is like similar like what have done in Malaysia. So I think that's all my question, Dr. Reevany. Thank you, Rajih.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Dayang. Appreciate the comments there. I mean, I myself find a lot of I have a lot of question and curiosity about this, and one thing I found out about the archivists is that they don't even call the ustazah. They don't call it ustazah or PI or whatever. They call it coach, right? Coach.
Interesting.
And they come because they work with our visa requirement, because they come on a tourist visa perhaps, yeah, right? So they come and go, so they do not have that structure of a KIA. So,
Yes.
so that's it's fluid. Yeah, I guess that's another interesting. So they're very kind of hipster kind of pesantren. Well, what is the age group like? Of
The age group between 18 to about 35, more than 35. Yeah,
the
the
majority,
majority 18 to 28.
all right. These are factory workers.
Yeah,
mainly.
factory workers. Kilang.
So these are Gen Z or Gen Z, millennial, Gen Z.
Yeah,
Yeah.
combination.
Yeah, young folks. So kind of hipster that. You have some, okay. Anyone else like to add anything, comment, question?
But as Dr. Dayang mentioned, maybe the last research objective, instead of using the word examine, maybe we would say explore.
Thank you.
Examine maybe suggest that there's some setup.
Yeah, the data.
Something like that. Yeah. Anyone else has any inputs? Would like to share any thoughts? Maybe Muzaki, you're studying modern pesantren. Mohammad, yeah, right.
He was in pesantren.
Well, you are too, right? You are
Me too. I was in pesantren.
I have some question, Fazwan. You said that this is the new phenomenon. Maybe I think if there is some study related with the new santri, good and good in some certain literature review, that regarding to that the Muslim that the certain community in the urban society that they build such as the Islamic practice, what we call the tarbiyah movement in Indonesia. They conduct such as what you say that they establish such as the pengajian, halakoh, and in certain thing, this is like what we call the halakoh. Halakoh. So this is my critical view. Maybe some people call it pesantren, but some people it what we call the tarbiyahization, because there is the certain ideology that they in certain community that they they build the community in open society, and then they make the activity like what you said that in open community. I don't know exactly if there is the ideology behind their activity. Thank you.
That's interesting.
Ideology is a hidden agenda.
Hidden
agenda.
That is
Ideology, there is some ideology.
Yeah.
Strong.
I can say that perhaps there is a hidden agenda behind RQV Penang institutionally. However, I'm not sure that the members of RQV Penang understand about that. Yeah, because they come from different, very different backgrounds. And some of them wear cadar. What is cadar? Niqab.
The ninja thing.
Yeah, covering almost all her face. Yeah. Some of them use cadar. And no, cadar in Malaysia is different. Cadar in Indonesia is like niqab. Yeah, the right term is niqab.
To sleep on.
Oh yeah, that's pajama.
Yeah.
Pajama.
No, not pajama. The one.
Covering the bed.
Yes.
I'm not sure the members of RQV understand about the hidden agenda. Maybe RQV itself has strong relation to some political party or ideological Islamic or ideological organization. The process of education, like the concept of halakoh, may be similar to the concept of education inside RQV Penang, but I'm not sure that the members of RQV Penang would understand that. Therefore, there might be a new conceptualization from them. Therefore, it is worth to be studied. That's okay.
All right. Okay, thank you, Ms. Zakir. Anyone else has some thoughts to share or questions? Another 5 minutes to go. No? Nothing? Okay. Now we'll wrap up. Rajih, you have anything you want to your thoughts about the discussion today?
Yeah. Thank you very much for Prof. Reevany, Prof. Azeem, and Dr. Dayang for the input. I'm really thankful for those comments and make me, I can improve my research plan, my research proposal, my research after this. Yeah, that's all. I don't know how to say.
Maybe if I could do during supervision time, but your sensitizing concept, you tend to have the pesantren elements in there, right?
Yeah.
Then the migrant workers' perspectives are kind of lacking. So remember, these are somewhat different from the santri, the students of pesantren in Indonesia. The students of pesantren in Indonesia, they enter pesantren to become students. Here, in this case, they come over here as migrant workers or
their main motives are work.
Yeah, they're happy to work or whatever. Not necessarily to become santri, right? So you do need to bring in the discourse of migrant workers into your sensitizing concept as well, to see whether there is a change of self-identity, or how they describe themselves before they enter RQV and after they enter RQV, and all the the discourses of or the concepts related to migrant workers as well. The idea of work, the idea of employment, the idea of supporting family, the idea of improving oneself when they come abroad. How has this shaped their worldview as a migrant worker, or and being a Nusantara student of Nusantara as well, I subscribe more to the idea of perantau than migrant workers, and migrant workers is a new conception in the capitalist development, so are there different conceptions of self or conceptions of life, or last time perantau we would say, we all merantau and work at the same time improving themselves, right? My great-grandfather was a perantau, and in the process he learned knowledge, and he came over here and set up a little pondok in Alustar too, madrasah in Alustar too. So there's a mix between work and enhancing oneself and merantau, seeing the world. So and migrant workers have that, especially these folks, the young folks. Yeah, we are talking about 18 years old, 19, 20 years old. Yeah, they want to see the world. Kind of feeling is there. I remember this a famous urban sociology, Scott Greer. Yeah, one famous. This is in Wisconsin last time. I did all this push and pull factor about migrant workers at that time. Rural Malaysian migrant workers come to Penang. He said, Reef, sometimes they come here just because of the neon lights. Yeah. They come to the city to have this modern metropolitan life, you know, if you're talking about factory workers. So that is, you know, the conception of life, conception of work and all that. But, you know, you might be reading too much into it. Sometimes it's simple as that. Which I thought, you're talking about 19 years old, 20 years old, you mau melihat dunia kan, gitu kan. It's not as complex as we think. So anyways, bring in that concept into sensitizing. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Our proposal defense today. Thank you very much to Associate Professor Dr. Azeem, also our Director of SEMPRIS, and Dr. Dayang. Thank you for coming into our session today, and all who are here today, including Alvin Chang from you're in where you now? Are you still holidaying or are you where in Johor? Oh, Johor. I don't know where. I can't hear, but it's okay. It's okay. Right? Yeah. Oh, Utah. You're in university. I see Jay there and Kusama Muhtadi as well. Right. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll meet again.